First, yeah.
Should be here. Okay, just want to get everything set up there. We'll probably have some more people joining us shortly. But good evening, devotees. Hare Krishna. Hope you're having a very wonderful day. Today is Ekadasi. We'll actually hear a little bit about Ekadasi later in tonight's presentation. But hoping that your Ekadasi is going well and that you've been able to focus a little bit more on Krishna today. I'm going to put up the presentation right now. I'm going to disappear for a little bit. And you'll see our presentation. Can everybody see? Everybody see the screen share?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So there'll be a time tonight when we take our microphones off, and there'll be a time when we have to turn them or turn them off and turn them on. So try to be diligent in remembering when your microphone is on and off. If not, I'll be there to capture it. But if everybody can just try to be mindful of that, that'll help move things through smoothly. Okay, so tonight we're gathering for the third part of a 5-part course on Vaishnava etiquette and behavior. This particular part 3, is on Sadhana Habits. Just want to do a quick overview, a refresher. We discussed this 2 weeks ago on the purpose of doing this course. Srila Prabhupada states in the third purpose of ISKCON that to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, thus developing the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, Krishna. So when you have society, you need cooperation and behavior and norms within that society. And because this is a devotional society, those behaviors help us move closer to Krishna. This is also to train and guide the devotees so that they can advance in their devotional life and collectively create a loving devotional atmosphere. We read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila 4:130, Lord Chaitanya is speaking to Sanatana Goswami, and he says, Maryada Palana Hai Sarur Bhushana. That maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So we hope over the last 2 weeks that you've been able to gather information that has helped you decorate yourself with these qualities of Vaishnava etiquette, so that we can be pleasing to Krishna and his devotees. And then just a quick overview where we are in the course. We're right in the middle, November 25th. Our first evening was with Vishnu Gadal Prabhu on temple room etiquette. Last week we heard from his great Prabhu on Srila Prabhupada's unique position as founder Acharya of ISKCON. Next week we'll hear from Mother Sudevi on the relationships among devotees, and we have Kirtan etiquette as our final class by His Grace Vishnu Gadal Prabhu. There have been quizzes that have gone out. I hope that you've all received them. And we actually, just a little housekeeping tool. I just found out how when you make the quiz, you can actually have it graded immediately. So this last quiz you took, you should have gotten the results immediately to that. The first one, I'm still working through some of that. But thank you for those that have been participating. And if you want a certificate at the end to show that you've completed the Vaishnav etiquette and behavior course, the quizzes will need to be done. And also you need to attend these classes live as well, so you can participate. So tonight, I want to introduce our speaker, Haryashva Prabhu. Haryashva Prabhu is born and raised in Philadelphia, South Philadelphia. He joined here in Philadelphia, and he served his whole life here in Philadelphia. He started coming to the ISKCON temples back when Srila Prabhupada was alive on the planet. He actually met Srila Prabhupada. He took initiation a little bit later after Srila Prabhupada left in the late 70s. He was initiated by His Holiness Satsru Das Goswami. He lived in the Philadelphia temple through the late 70s and the 80s. He went out on book distribution, served as a Sankirtan leader, and helped cultivate devotees in their spiritual life. In the 90s, he moved down to South Street, where he worked on, he worked the restaurant, the Govinda's restaurant. First, it was further down at 5th and South, and later on it got relocated to Broad and South, the location where he's at right now. He's done a tremendous amount of service in distributing prasadam to the devotees, having a presence of Krishna consciousness downtown, and just really meet everybody that he comes in contact with and meets, being able to share Krishna in some way with him. We walk down the street with him. People yell out the window. They're driving down, and you hear them say, "Hare Krishna!" It's really an amazing thing. The establishment of Krishna consciousness that he's brought to that area where he's at, just an awareness of Krishna is quite commendable. So these things that we're going over tonight, these are things that he's lived throughout his decades of practicing Krishna consciousness. Now, one thing I will add is that he did ask me to join him in a couple of these areas. So my contributions are by design. I'm not just jumping in. These are things that we've had planned to work on together. So, Haryashva Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, thank you, Dronacharya, and obeisances to the devotees. Hello, family. So first, I would like to, I thank you for coming. And Dronacharya Prabhu, he didn't use so much peanut butter today. He didn't spread it on so thick, so I feel a little more comfortable. But we've had 2 courses already. The first was by Vishnu Gadad Prabhu, and he set the bar quite high. And then his godbrother Swareshwar came, and together he helped him last week, and they really pushed that bar quite high. So tonight, I want you to do me a favor before we get started. I want you to start lowering that bar, bring it down so that it's at a comfortable level, so at least you can get through the evening. If you do that, we're going to have a great time. As you know, tonight, our topic is Sadhana Habits. So first we'll deal with my hero. And there's the picture of my hero, Srila Prabhupada. You know, whether most of us aren't Diksha disciples of Srila Prabhupada, but Srila Prabhupada plays such an amazing part in the lives of all of us. You'll find that his footprint is everywhere within our devotional lives. So everything, I owe a debt of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. I like to start by chanting his pranams and some warm-up mantras. The other thing is that I'm not so stiff. So if you become very comfortable and relaxed, then we can have a great time. Because when I first came to the temple, the first thing I heard was a phrase, Kevala Anandakanda, that this process was simply joyful. So it is. I find that it's joyful. And if we can reciprocate like that, we're going to have a great time. So first, let's chant. I'll chant and you chant with me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamane Nama Om
Vishnu
Padaya
Padaya
Krishna
Krishna
Prastaya
Prastaya
Bhutale Srimati
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine.
Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatadane
Namaste
Sarasvati
Saraswati
Devi
Devi
Gauravani
Nirvishesha Sunyavadi
Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Kotranija Jai Homaya, Lisa Chirya Gole, Hey, Jeev
Jeev Jagat
Jago, Jeev
Jeev
Jago,
Jagat
Gora Chandra Bole.
Maya
Kotranija
Jaya Maya
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya
Hare Prabhupada
Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada,
Jaya
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada Jaya
Jaya
Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya
Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Guru Dev.
Jaya Jaya
Jaya Guru Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev, Jaya
Gurudev.
Gurudev.
Prabhupada, glory to Lord Chaitanya. So, Chief Jago, wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up, sleeping souls. How long will we sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So, Lord Chaitanya is calling. Lord Chaitanya has come to save us. Lord Chaitanya's dear servant, His Divine Loving Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has come here. And he's come here to bring the message of Chaitanya Dev. And the gifts that Srila Prabhupada is bringing, the gifts that Lord Chaitanya are bringing are endless. So I want to take advantage of those gifts and talk about our topics tonight and the process of sadhana bhakti. So tonight we have a laundry list. That laundry list of topics: sadhana, japa, 4 regulated principles, associating with devotees, avoiding non-devotees, reading, hearing classes, performing devotional service at the temple, following holy days, and Ekadasi. Janmashtami too. Favorable and unfavorable activities for devotional life. Tilak, letters from Srila Prabhupada to his initiates. So, as we embark upon the topic of sadhana, we have to look at sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana is a practice, it's a process in bhakti. But the gold, the sadhya, the gold is to become a pure lover of God. Over to my right, I don't know how it is on your screen, there's the bhakti lata, there's the seed of devotion which gets planted. We can come back to this later, but as we move forward and trying to understand the process of sadhana, and as we come to see how it's developed, there's several unseen movements which take place in the life of the devotee or the practitioner. And this bhakti lata, this bead, this plant, will become much more manifest to us. So, and looking at sadhana bhakti, it has a few components to it. Sadhana is the practice of bhakti. It can be divided into 2 parts, regulative and spontaneous. Vaidhi bhakti, when there is no attachment or no spontaneous loving service to the Lord, and one is engaged in the service of the Lord simply out of obedience to the order of the spiritual master or in pursuance of the scriptures, such obligatory service is called Vaidhi bhakti. Raganuga bhakti is the point at which, by following the regulative principles, one becomes a little more attached to Krishna and executes devotional service out of natural love. So that's the beginning process. Srila Prabhupada gives an example here. Srila Prabhupada says, for example, a person engaged in devotional service may be ordered to rise early in the morning and offer artik, which is a form of deity worship. In the beginning, by the order of the spiritual master, one rises early in the morning and offers artik, but then he develops real attachment. When he gets this attachment, he automatically tries to decorate the deity and prepare different kinds of dresses and thinks of different plans to execute his devotional service nicely. Although it is within the category of practice, this offering of loving service is spontaneous. So the practice of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, can be divided into 2 parts, namely regulative and spontaneous. This can be found in the nectar of devotion. So this practice, in the beginning stages, it's what it is. It is a practice. But as we move forward, the practice takes on a life of its own. As Srila Prabhupada explains in his example, if you do something out of obligation, but you develop some attachment for that thing that you're doing, then it develops a little more spontaneity there. What to speak of the fact that we begin to work with the Supreme Lord. As we work through this process, the unseen is that in the beginning, all we're bringing to the table is a little faith. There's a process which is explained by Rupa Goswami, where he goes from Shraddha to Krishna Prema. But in that process, in the earlier stages, The first thing is to just have a little faith, bring a little faith to the table, and then learn to associate with devotees. And that association, a lot of magic takes place, as you'll see. So first, I'm going to go back and explain the the limbs or the angas of bhakti. And again, as I said, I'm back and forth because the process will evolve. Bhakti has 9 limbs: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasha, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Bhagavatam 7:523. And that's simply hearing and chanting, remembering the Supreme Lord, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering prayers to the Lord, Vandanam, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. What a process. this is the awakening. You know, any one of these limbs or any one of these angas can take us to the point of pure love of God. But Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON is very interesting because he's woven them all together. And why? Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopam Gastra Parsidam Jagnai Sankritana Praya Yajantihi Sumedasa. This age, in this age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. This is interesting. Here comes Lord Chaitanya, the Panchatattva. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. This is Krishna. Non-blackish is Krishna. And when Krishna came before, he told Arjuna he had a mission to perform. He had things to fulfill. So he says, Krishna, there's Karna, kill him. There's grandfather Bhishma, kill him. You know, and Krishna came to wipe out the miscreants and to reestablish religious principles. But in the age of Kali, he comes, and he comes with his associates and his weapons, and he's always chanting the name of Krishna. His gift in this age to society is that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The holy name is the Krishna's gift. It is powerful. Although the age is so bad, the name is everything. Everything is resting. So in moving forward, everything is resting on this name of Krishna. And this is such a part of the development of the bhakti process. If you take away this holy name, what do we have? It's a difficult age. But Krishna's compassion, Krishna's mercy is so extensive that he's coming as Lord Chaitanya, but he's also coming as Nam-Prabhu. But here, everything rests on successfully chanting the names of God. The holy name is Krishna's gift to the world. Krishna and his name are non-different. You know, I compare Krishna's mercy as Nam-Prabhu to rain. When it rains everywhere. All that fertile ground that needs rain, it gets it. But the concrete, it gets it. The water and the ocean, it gets it. Everyone gets that rain. So this holy name is not just for the human form of life, it's there for everyone. But the age is bad. The age is expressed very simply. And the people in this age have a difficult time. Praying alpal yushna shabda kala vashman yugajana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadruta. Says in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. This does not sound like the right atmosphere to develop or to be Krishna conscious. It seems difficult, and that is true. But here's some further help from Srimad Bhagavatam. Kaler doshana de rajan asyeko mahagunan kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangam param vrajet. Although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one becomes free from material bondage and can become promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So I want to say something about this holy name, that the holy name again, the Maha Mantra, is our gift. And when we think of the Sankirtan movement, we see the Harinam party coming down the streets. That's Kirtan, with the Mridungas and the cartels, Kirtan. We see the bombs going out, the books, people on the corner, the devotees distributing the literatures, Kirtan, Brihat Mridanga. So there's different aspects of the holy name. Kirtan is definitely, the huge part of the gift of the holy name. But we have broken it down into kirtan and japa. And because it is such an important category to speak about, His Grace Vishnu Gadad Prabhu, at the end of this seminar, the last installment, then he's going to come back again and he's going to explain kirtan. Maybe he'll do kirtan because he's been so expert over the years. So knowing that, I'm not touching kirtan. We're going to save that for Vishnu Gadad Prabhu. But we will go to japa. Japa. From so many literatures, I've taken so much information. Actually, in a book by His Holiness Satsvarup Maharaj, I stumbled into this, where it says, of all the regulative principles, in his Japa Reform Notebook, of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. And it's in Madhya 22:113 purport. So japa, again, quite interesting. Back to that Bhaktilata Beach, or back to Rupa Goswami's explanation of devotional service. From being faithful and associating with devotees and getting a little knowledge and coming to the point of getting the understanding and the mercy to approach a spiritual master, to become disciplined by his instructions. Disciple means disciplined by the instructions of the spiritual master. Well, once we take to that process, now we come to the point that japa is everything for us. Because when you approach the spiritual master, one of the requirements is that you agree that you're going to abide by their process of being able to chant the holy name regularly. Srila Prabhupada explains this. He says, that as my initiated disciple, you must chant regularly 16 rounds on beads daily and follow the 4 restrictions, namely no meat eating, no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, no illicit sex life, no taking of any kinds of intoxicants, and no gambling or mental speculation. If you stick to these principles and chant the holy name, avoiding the 10 offenses, in a matter of chanting, you will become steady and rapidly advanced in Krishna consciousness. This is a letter on the 21st of February, 1970 in Los Angeles. In this purport, I've explained the regulated principles, but the point of mental speculation is a point that I can't explain properly. Vishnu Gadad Prabhu has gotten a lot of information from other devotees. So it was in the letter. Most of you who've been initiated know that you've been asked to refrain from intoxication, meat eating, gambling, and illicit sex. But the mental speculation, that's a different topic. And if Vishnu Gadad wants to interject at any on this point, he can. Other than that, I'm just moving on. Okay, japa meditation. Japa meditation is a process. It's one thing to have the order, but it too is a practice. As we're moving through our laundry list, you see that sadhana has different components, and they're going to be revealed more and more. And you'll see we take them sometimes in the beginning as habits, and we do them out of obligation, but it too becomes more spontaneous. It's something that needs to be done with feeling. Japa is important to me. I would like someday to be able to chant good japa. But the explanation is this. Rabindra Rupa was on, and he explained it in this way, and he gets it from Prabhupada. He explains that there are three um, there are three uh, uh, involvements in this process. Srila Prabhupada writes about this also. Srila Prabhupada says that the simple process of chanting the mantra and listening, this chanting involves Krishna, you, and your mind. So here we are, you or me, Krishna, and our mind. And we're chanting on our beads. We're petitioning him, all attractive Lord, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. We're glorifying him. We're calling that name. So when we do this, at this stage, we're doing this with an awareness of our relationship. Jivasrupahaya Krishnari Nichadas, that we belong to him, that we're eternal servants of Krishna, and somehow the relationship became broken. So imagine if I sit down now to chant my japa with this awareness that somehow I'm I'm in a broken relationship and I want to reestablish this relationship with Krishna. So I need to call with attention. I need to call with feeling. Another explanation is that there's a prayer, my dear Lord Krishna, for so long I have abandoned you in the material world, but I'm your eternal servant. And from today, and I'm paraphrasing, today, I am your surrendered servant. Please engage me in your service. So when we ask that of Krishna and we sit down and we call his name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we have to stay present. We have to stay with the sound. We have to stay with the name. If we don't stay aware that we're calling Krishna, if we don't keep our consciousness right there, then the mind will take our consciousness somewhere else. And as we move in another direction, it doesn't seem good for us that we've been calling Krishna and he shows up and we're not there. This is offensive. You're calling the Supreme Lord, not the president, not a king. You're calling the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our master, and we're not present. So this is important. Borijan Prabhu says, just chant one mantra at a time. Stay focused on the mantra that you're chanting. Just don't worry about what you chanted in the past or what you're going to chant for the 16. Just make the task simple. And as we simplify that task, we find that when the mind does snatch our consciousness, we have a certain awareness. And so we can say, Prabhupada, because he's giving it to us. Or we can say, Yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram. From whatever and wherever the mind wanders, due to its unsteady and flickering nature, we try to bring it back. So this is the process. It's important. If we don't do that, then the japa will be offensive. And in order to chant nice japa, we have to avoid these 10 offenses. Okay, Drona, Why don't you do the laundry list?
Yeah, I can read them. There was before reciting the 10 offenses, there's a shloka that's oftentimes chanted. Bahu Janma
Ahu
Karyade,
Janma Kari Yadi
Shavana
Pavanam
Kirtanam,
Kirtanam
Tabu Tanapaya
Pavatapaya Krishna Pade Premadana.
I was getting, you're saying it, it's overlapping with what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, no problem. And then if one is infested with the 10 offenses of chanting the holy names, despite one's endeavor to chant the holy names for many, many births, one will not get the goal of the chanting, which is pure love of Godhead. These 10 offenses should be recited in the morning before we chant, and should be remembered by the devotees so that we can guard against the 10 offenses, any of them when they appear within our consciousness. So the first one is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagating of the holy name of the Lord. Two is to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. Three is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Four is to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic version. Five is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Six is to give some interpretations on the holy name of the Lord. Seven is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Eight is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, otherwise known as karma kanda. 9 is to instruct a faithless person on the glories of the holy name. And 10 is to not have complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. And every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses if we want to quickly achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema.
Drona Prabhu, when we get to 9, I get so nervous because the next, between 9 and 10, it gets pretty hopeless for me. It gets real dangerous. Anyway, these 10 offenses, as you say, they need to be followed. But are you going to do the positive aspect of it?
Sure. So if we're struggling with the 10 offenses, there's a way that we can kind of reverse it, and there's a positive way to avoid committing these 10 offenses. This is found in the Harinam Chintamani. This particular translation of this is from His Holiness Sachinandana Maharaj, and he says that number 1 is to diligently give up all the blasphemy of Vaishnav sadhus by praising them. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also advises that the same mouth that has blasphemed devotees be used to praise them. When someone drinks with the mouth a dangerous poison, he can be cured by drinking with the same mouth life-giving nectar. Number 2, adopt the pure understanding that Vishnu is the only truth. Accept the Guru who promotes the holy name with utmost sincerity. Number 4, accept the scriptures that glorify the holy name as supreme. We can see this is kind of like the corollary of the offense of what we should do. Number 5, believe in your heart that the holy name is completely pure and spiritual. Number 6, to have faith that the holy name is identical with the Lord. Number 7, attentively discard all the motivations that lead us to sins, because it is motivation, not action, that is the seed of sin. Number 8, preach the glories of the pure holy names only for those who pose faith in the names. Number 9, entirely give up impious and self-serving ritualistic activities. And number 10, meditate on the holy name without distraction.
So nice. Now it's time for us to get real serious. We found some modern day offenses. They weren't included in the 10 offenses. So these 10 offenses are important, but the list goes on. Now we have some modern day offenses to the holy name. And we're going to tell you these offenses, but I want you to brace yourself because there's a whole lot of offenses that we commit today that we're not aware of. Maybe not that you commit them, maybe some of your friends or some people you see are committing these offenses, and you're going to get an opportunity to share so that we can extend this list. So, I'll do a couple. Jonah's going to finish it all. Chanting japa while texting or watching TV. What did you say, Jonah? Some people are real good with texting with the left hand.
There's a cartoon that went out a couple years ago about how devotees are becoming ambidextrous because they're chanting with their right hand and texting with their left hand, or they're typing it. So this obviously is not the way we want to become ambidextrous.
Just for the record, that's offensive chanting. Continue, Jonah. You do the list. You're doing good.
Japa walks and talks. This is walking while chanting japa is good, but oftentimes we don't want to get into a point where we start having conversations while we are chanting our japa. Sometimes we see that people are walking, chanting, and talking while they're chanting. While working out, sometimes people think they can do a couple things at the same time. Knock off two birds with one stone. Get on the treadmill and do their exercise and also do their chanting. Chanting while driving, the attention isn't there. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And in doing so, you take your mind off the holy name. Now, you can still be chanting, you can still be listening to kirtan and singing kirtan and maybe do it, but you want to be, when you chant your 16 rounds, you want to be attentive while doing such. Doing housework and chores and multitasking japa, all these are kind of signs of multitasking japa where we're trying to sideline, Krishna and compartmentalize them into our schedule where we're doing other things at the same time. So these are kind of modern ways that you mentioned. These offenses can kind of creep into our lives. But that list can go on. Maybe we can get some contributions from the devotees. They can just kind of shout out. Maybe there's some that I'm sure they don't do themselves, but they may know of some people that maybe do so.
Use that chat box. Raise that hand.
Or unmute your microphone. Okay, Renika, you raised your hand, but at this point, we're not going to take a whole lot of time to get this done. So we just want devotees just to kind of shout it out. These are we'll get to questions in just a minute. But if you have anything to say of ways that modern day offenses that we kind of distract ourselves while chanting.
I have committed, I don't know how many sins you just mentioned, all of them. Like I did not think it was wrong. So now I know that it is wrong. Thank you for calling my mistakes.
Well, Drona, it looks like we just got all good people. They're not committing these offenses and they're avoiding that kind of association. So it's great.
Minus one.
I sometimes fall asleep.
I've added so many, I couldn't come up with any more. But anyway.
We all committed sins, Prabhu, but unknowingly or knowingly. So Renuka, you're not the only one, okay? Hare Krishna.
So we said we got falling asleep is one that a person's put in there.
No.
Stopping to have a snack.
No.
We got on the chat. No. Okay. Ones to think about. Um, um, oh. Finish this off, Haryashtra Prabhu.
Okay. These are keys to strengthen our japa. And this, you know, you need a kit. You need a kit for your japa reform. And make japa a priority. Schedule your time. Early morning japa is the easiest. This is very, very important. Srila Prabhupada told us, rise early in the morning and chant. The modes aren't so heavy then. So it's very, very nice. Plus your mind hasn't become so active. You don't, the gotta do list hasn't become so manifest. So early in the morning, there's not that much to do but to chant the names of God. And if it's nice and quiet and you've showered, you can chant in a very prayerful mood. Find your sacred space. You know, the temple is a natural sacred space, but there needs to be a sacred space in your house, a place that you can chant where no one's going to come in and start speaking with you, or you have to interact with the children, or to have a sacred space. If it's just a little corner where there's a small altar, or just a picture of Srila Prabhupada, Panchatattva, and that's where you sit, Tulsi, and you chant your japa in an undisturbed way. That's your sacred space. The interesting thing about the sacred space is that's our external sacred space. The real goal is to find the sacred space within. Once we get used to going within ourselves, understanding that the super soul is there, meeting the Lord within the heart, and make that space, find a comfortable position to call him within our hearts, then that is where we really want to be. One mantra at a time is what Borijan Prabhu has given, and I'm finding it to be very wonderful. Even though I get pulled off a lot of times, I may feel like, oh, I got to chant it. I got to get my rounds done. That's not going to be good japa. One mantra at a time means I'm listening to that Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's attentive. That's not somewhere else. So if I pay attention to that one mantra, that's good. Chant with feeling. Feeling means be aware of who we're chanting, who we're calling to. Be aware of our position. We're in a broken relationship. We're trying to reestablish it. Krishna is supreme. He's kind. He's loving. So call out. Ask him, please. Ask him with feeling, not mechanically. Please engage me in your service. And above all, avoid the offenses and become, the negative is avoid the offenses, and the positive is just become absorbed. Nothing else to do, just hear the name, say the name. And if you keep hearing the name, then the mood changes. And at heart you feel, Krishna, please, please, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please allow me to be engaged in your service. Allow me to serve your devotees. It goes wherever it's our time, it goes. This is the process in sadhana bhakti. This is the most important, to chant good japa. As the japa goes, our practices goes. So if our japa is strong, our other practices will become strong. Okay?
Haryashtra Prabhu, we have some questions. I think this would be a good time to take some questions before moving on to the next topic.
Questions. Can I see them? Can I see the people?
It's on the chat. So I think so far the questions have come through in chat. Now we can't take too many questions at this time.
Okay.
We have a couple here, and then I think we move on, and there'll be more throughout the night. So one question was, sometimes I will be interrupted by my wife or daughter while chanting. I don't seek it, but it happens. Is this an offense?
Well, it can be, but that's not the point. The real point is that you're married. You have a wife, you have a daughter. So what you do is do some positive things. You know, don't do anything to get yourself in trouble because you still have a wife and a daughter. So you say, honey, when I go in there to chant my japa, it helps me if I can just stay, you know, focused on the japa and deal with other things later so I could be a better person, a better husband for you, a better father for our daughter, just a better all around person. What to speak of a better servant to Krishna? It helps. I mean, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. But be careful how you speak, you know. You know, I mean, he's married, so he's aware. You know, if you say it with feeling, and then she can hear your words. The point is to the strength to make the japa better and not to offend your wife.
The next question is, are all the 9 limbs of devotional service that were stated earlier equal, or is there a hierarchy among these?
Ah, wow. Well, it's like this. Either one can help us, but hearing and chanting are the most important. You know, hearing, we need to hear, and we need to chant the names of God. They're the most prominent, hearing and chanting. And from hearing and from chanting comes smarnam, comes remembrance. So yeah, I'm not going to get out there on the limb and say this one's more important, this is less important, because if you, it's so amazing. If you just pray, if you pray to Krishna, then all the other things begin to take place. So according to our need, things happen differently. I I can't give an answer that one is better, but I know that hearing and chanting are the two most prominent aspects. And the two rules are always to remember Krishna and to never forget him. So remembrance has to be, but how do we remember him? We remember him by hearing about him. We remember him by speaking about him, by listening, by sharing it. We become absorbed. Our consciousness becomes absorbed in Krishna. If Vishnu Gadad wants to get in there and kick it, he can.
Hey, Bull. Yeah, Prabhupada does say the hearing and chanting are the most important. So you're correct in that. I don't think you should shy away from that. And Srila Jiva Goswami says that in this age, particularly in Kali Yuga, that all the other processes are effective only if they're preceded and followed by chanting the holy names.
See, I told you it was above my pay grade. And you got it. Exactly. So thank you, Vishnu Gadad Prabhu.
The last question, I guess, before we move on, it seems like there's questions, they're similar. It's about falling asleep while chanting and sometimes doing late night chanting. These are good questions because this is about sadhana habits, and we want to be able to, understand the habits that sometimes will bring us, downward instead of upward.
Falling asleep by chanting, there's two things. One, you're not getting enough rest. And when it's time to chant, you're sleeping. So lay down, stop chanting, sleep. And if you've had sufficient sleep, then the mind is amazing. The mind's not being happy, it's putting you on lockdown. So you have to push on. Maybe there's a weakness of heart. There's so many things which can bring sleepy time. But as we become more clear of the fact that this is my time, this is my special time with Krishna, I've got his attention. I'm calling him. He is available. This is our time. This is the process that will enable me to become a pure lover. This is it. So if we have that awareness, that understanding, and sleep is coming, we'll hit water on the eyes. Whatever the Distraction is we're going to fight it because we had enough rest. So it's just a lockdown. We have to get past that. And remember this: when somebody is speaking Brajapa or your favorite song comes on and something like that, you just perk up. So sometimes we shut down because we're not that interested. Our mind doesn't want to, but we do the proper things and we strengthen ourselves. Association is great, you know. He, all these, there's many aspects which will strengthen us, but understand we can't sleep and chant. If you're going to sleep, then lay down, sleep. If you're going to chant, Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping soul. Okay, that's the best I can do.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic. We got a couple more to go through. I think that was the longest one that we'd spend time on.
Okay, well, we're going to move
Stop after each one and take questions. So if you do have questions, send them in your chat on the chat, and you also have an opportunity to ask them as well.
These regulated principles of freedom. Regulated principles, they're principles of freedom because, if we don't follow these regulated principles, then we're bound. We're just bound to bad activity. We're about to be robbed. This human form of life is rare, it's precious, it's valuable. It's meant for inquiry into the absolute truth. It's meant for engagement in the service of the Lord. And so look what happens if we begin to not follow regulated principles. Our freedom has been taken. You're eating meat, and so you're going to lose that compassionate heart. That animal was killed. He was wiped out. There's no phantom across the land. You just took it because you wanted to eat that. The tongue, of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control. But higher than the sense of the tongue is the intelligence, and the real intelligence is coming from the super soul, form direction of true intelligence. So these habits won't take us where we want to be. We look at them as sinful activities, and we can compare them to the pillars of Dharma, real religiosity. And you look on one side, I'm eating meat, I lose my compassion. I'm intoxicated, lose my austerity. Illicit sex, I'm just not clean. And gambling, truthfulness, the last leg of religion, is out the window. So these pillars are pillars of knowledge, because if we do them, then we situate ourselves properly where we can hear from the proper perspective. We can act in a better way. We're open, we're open for the opportunity to become situated at least to the point of goodness so that we can move towards pure goodness. And the effectiveness of chanting Hare Krishna will be much more effective for us. It is the order of the spiritual master not to engage in these sinful pillars of life. So on that order, understanding the four regulative principles. One is not accepted as a bona fide student, disciple in this movement unless he promises to follow the four regulative principles. No animal killing, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. This is heavy because we know we're supposed to chant our rounds, but we're also supposed to refrain from these sinful activities. We promised, when we took initiation. Two, the order of the spiritual, this is the order of the spiritual master. To break the order of the spiritual master makes it difficult to make spiritual advancement. Come on, give me that verse. Give me a verse. You chant it every day. Yasha Prasada Bhagavad Prasado, we need the mercy of the spiritual master. Without the grace of the spiritual master, our destination is not really known. Careful. 3, these are regulative principles of freedom. It frees us from sinful reactions and helps us from being on a bodily conception of life. Krishna told Arjuna, you're not your body, your spirit soul, your eternal servant, and further understanding your eternal servant. So all these activities, they just keep us on the bodily conception of life. I know that another time, Kshatriyas were able to eat meat. Kalo Sudra Sambhavan, we're all less than Shudra, according to our birth. So let's move on.
So we can take a pause here. This is the end of this topic, and maybe take any questions we have with regards to the regulative principles.
The regulative principles.
We're just going to pause and take the questions after each section.
Sounds like everybody agrees. But if you don't agree, and let me give you the cushion, the soft aspect of it. If you find that some of the regulated principles have become difficult for you in life, and Krishna consciousness is something that grows and becomes developed. I know in that purport in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says to show them special mercy, I from within the heart destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge that darkness born of ignorance. He says, if one has a spiritual master and he's unable to follow and he is sincere, then I from within give the understanding. Prabhupada explains that Krishna helps from within directly, that Krishna helps. So we're not telling people to, just go perform some sinful activity that's listed, in the 10 offenses. But we're saying sometimes these influences of material nature are very difficult to overcome. So sometimes you may find that life is a little difficult, but we have to stay steady in our determination, steady in the path, and continue to pray. And Krishna will help the sincere devotee. Just think that I just thought that was nice that should be nice to know. Can I move on, Drona?
Yes. If people have questions on that topic, they'll have a chance at the end.
So associating with devotees, powerful. There's different types of devotees, different grades of different levels of devotees. Kanishna, Manjama Uttam. And there's just there's devotees who have come from the spiritual world to help us. There's those who are partly here and partly there. So there's so many kinds of devotees. But devotee association is powerful, and devotees should be treated with the utmost respect. And we should understand that devotees are very, very dear to Krishna. In other words, don't criticize them. Better that we serve them and try to hear from them. The power of devotee association. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koya. Lava Mantra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhihaya. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. CC Madhya 2254. I know, one time we were in Manhattan, 55th Street, and Srila Prabhupada came there. And I wanted to get Srila Prabhupada some fruit. I was so spaced out. I was still spaced out, but then I was really spaced out. This was 76, Prabhupada was there. And I couldn't get the fruit. And I was just so distraught that I had nothing to offer when Prabhupada came from his morning walk. So I was walking, I was really bummed out. And the Sankirtan vehicle pulled up, and Srila Prabhupada pulled and back in the limousine. And I looked over. I was just chanting, And there was Srila Prabhupada sitting in the limousine, not able to move. And I saw Prabhupada, I just started bawling. I couldn't contain myself. But I was looking, he was right there. I could look in his eyes, and I could see him. I could feel him. I felt he could see me. And I never forgot. I feel as though that my life has been changed simply because of Srila Prabhupada. I never expected to be, strong enough to try to take to the process of devotional service. But spiritual master is amazing. Srila Prabhupada is so amazing. One such wonderful devotee. One should learn, Srila Prabhupada says, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. I hear a verse coming on, I hear the verse. And thus, encouraging one another, they're able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 11.330. Machchita madkata prana, bojantat parashparam, katayantas tamam nicham, tushanti cha, brahmanti cha. Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. Their lives are fully surrendered to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and even bliss by always enlightening one another and conversing about me. It's powerful. If you could just remember when you were just trying to learn about the Krishna consciousness, any devotee was so wonderful. Every devotee, you see them on the street, you're hoping to bump into a devotee. And they are wonderful like that. But devotees derive such relish into coming together and glorifying Krishna and chanting his name and talking, enlightening each other. I'm reading CC, or I'm reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, and it's just so intense, of the actions of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. But they were experiencing, they were feeling the same way. They were feeling the bliss of being with one another and talking about each other. And this is what takes place in devotee association. It's powerful. And the positive is that avoiding non-devotees, one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, nectar of instruction rather, text 2. And we should have experience, even if it's in our family. I mean, when it just gets that everything is just so mundane, every conversation, and it just wears you down. What to speak of those who really want to help you, and they want to offer you something to eat that hasn't been offered to Krishna, or something that you cannot eat. Invite you to different places. You're aware with the situation. So although it appears that their intentions are good, it's just because there's no interest in Krishna, it doesn't work. And 2, there are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. One of them is abandoning the association of non-devotees. Nectar of Instruction, text 3. I think that says it in itself. And here we get a glimpse of what happens, when the association of devotees, association of non-devotees. In association of devotees, okay, their acts, there's devotional service. The other situation, acts of sense gratification. Specifics are not important. They're so variegated. Talks about Krishna with the devotee association. Mundane affairs, prajalpa, useless. Devotee association brings enthusiasm for spiritual life. And the negative generates doubts. And the Devotee Association focuses on the goal of life, which is to serve Krishna and to serve the devotees. Das, ano das. Serve the servant of the servants. And the non-devotees distracts from who we really are, what the purpose of life really is, what our goal is. It's so many distractions. So again, we probably can make our own list with a much more realistic and itemized situation, but the scriptures have explained it. This is best that we let that type of association go and find our relish in the association of devotees. Find ourselves, in the association of devotees. I find it really nice. Sometimes the association of devotees is intoxicating, just intoxicating. There's so much relish, They tell you so many things about Krishna. So we're back again. We're not forgetting that we're in the process of sadhana habits. And here's a good one: reading and hearing Shravanam. We know chanting, but now we're reading. This is also hearing. And we want to hear, we want to read the right things and hear from the right source. This hearing is so essential. In the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he instructed this in spiritual science of yoga to the sun god, Viveshvan, and Viveshvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. The supreme science, and it goes on, he said, but this supreme science was received through the chain of the cyclic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the cessation was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee, as well as my friend, and therefore can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. It's one thing that it's coming down. Divyam, it's transcendental knowledge. And it's coming down. And it was given to the heads of all states, to the kings. The royal order understood it, of all planets. And Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that it was given to them to protect the citizens from the onslaught of bondage to lust. You see our presidents, today, what are they teaching us? More. More is better. Get bigger. Get a bigger car. Get a better house. Get more money. Go out, eat, enjoy. Have sense. Enjoy your senses. Have a great time. They give us a path. Work. You spend the money. Enjoy. But where is that instruction, that science being taught in the universities, in the high school? Where are we being taught, the science of the relationship with the Supreme? We're not. So the scriptures teaches us that. And there is a qualification for being able to hear that, But he says, because you're my devotee and friend, you can enter into that mystery. He told Arjuna that. So we have to become friends and devotees of the Lord in order to be able to understand that mystery. Sahasram, Guyam. Shushu Sho Shradhanasha Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishavanat. Oh, twice-born sages, these sages of Naimini Sharanya, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains an affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. Serving those great souls, serving the Mahatmas. The resultant activity of this is that we gain this attraction, this affinity for hearing Krishna's message. The sages said, we never tire, and they were speaking in the conversation, we never tire of hearing about the topics of the Supreme Lord. Virtuous. Srila Prabhupada says, you cannot directly approach God. That is useless. You have no power to approach God directly. That is not possible. Guru Krishna Kripaya, C.C. Madhya, 19159. Let them study this philosophy. We have got books, enough books. One cannot read all these books even throughout whole life. Srila Prabhupada's conversation, December 17, 1970. Thank you, and this is sweet, Srila Prabhupada, thank you for reading my books and appreciating them. Please continue to do so. That will help you advance nicely in spiritual life. What a benediction. By reading my books and chanting Hare Krishna, your life will become perfect. Srila Prabhupada letter, March 14th, 1975. I mean, I must stop for 1 minute and explain that in this process of sadhana bhakti, once we become a little sober, a little serious, and decide that we want to be connected with Krishna through the direction of the spiritual master, we take shelter. Once we do that, then we have within his instructions, the power comes to start to eliminate some of the unwanted things, to cast them out, unwanted things in the heart. That's an Nartana Vritti. Once we get past that, we can become steady in our devotional determination. Steadiness leads us to taste, to ruchi. That beej that you saw, that plant, this process of sadhana bhakti it's just taking us up. As you please the spiritual master by following his instructions, he blesses us. The sages of Namni Sharanya said to Sutta Goswami, Veda Tvam Sonya Tat Sarvam Tattva Tattanugrahad Purusna Shasha Shashasha Gauravo Guyumapkitam. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle and learned disciple. Now please scientifically explain to us all that you've learned from them. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the secret to success in spiritual life is to get the genuine blessing of the spiritual master. This here is the genuine blessing of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is blessing each and every one of us. Diksha Shiksha, equal manifestation of the Lord's mercy. Srila Prabhupada is so prominent. He has such a place in all our lives. And so we do this and we become blessed by Srila Prabhupada, as he was blessed. He says he likes to hear, I have marked him. With folded palms, Abai looked up humbly at his spiritual master. He and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta were now face to face, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta recognized him and was visibly pleased to see him. He already knew him. Yes, he said, exchanging looks with Abai. He likes to hear. He does not go away. I have marked him. I will accept him as my disciple. So, hearing, attending classes on Krishna consciousness, power of hearing, Shrin Vita Swakata Krishna Punya Shravanam Kirtana, Ridantak Stoya Bhadrani, Vidunoti Suritsatam. Another benediction. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. That's nothing I have to say. The process is working, serving the Lord his feet. Master Praise Babadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad Yutamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Regularly, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. It's there, can't be turned back. This is the benefit of attending class. This is the benefit of hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This is the benefit from serving the devotees. Das, das, anudas. Okay, let's look at what we've gone through. That sadhana practice is becoming stronger. Keys to strengthening our hearing and reading. 1, hear classes daily, nityam, every day. We would have the morning class, Bhagavatam class. They didn't force us. We were there before the speaker sat in his seat. And we get back from Sankirtan in the evening to hear Bhagavad Gita, to have kirtan in front of the deities. Read Srila Prabhupada's books daily, set a time. Be a sage, page by page. I hear Vaisheshika Prabhu. His grace, Yeah, we set our time. Set your time daily. It's wonderful. Just like you have japa time, you have reading time. It's your time with Krishna. It's your time. I want to know. So you want to know what Krishna told Arjuna. You want to know what they're talking about. What's happening with the sages of Namnesharanya. What is Sutta telling? You want to know in the different departments what's taking place. Hear with a humble mood and inquire submissively. Yeah. Be attentive, no sleeping. When I remember the first time I heard the qualification for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention, it was so extensive, I thought, wow, I'm never going to be able to hear it. But we try. The sincerity is that we try. Does it matter where we're starting from? We try. And from trying, remember the sparrow. The sparrow was dissatisfied with the ocean and asked for the eggs back, and the ocean refused. But the sparrow, with his determination, decided beak by beak to empty the ocean. Stronger help came along the way. Garuda heard of the determination of the sparrow, and Garuda decided, let me take up this task. Therefore, the eggs were returned. Guru and Krishna are always there to help us. Choose Krishna Katha over Prajalpa. Drona, are these talking points or? Whoops. Oh my God. Drona?
Yes.
You better move on to the temple, performing service at the temple. Let's move.
Here we go. Do you want to do this one?
No, you ready? It says, no, you do it. You do it.
All right. At this point, we'll hold any questions till the end. We can ask the question. So if you have something, you can either put it in the chat or write it down. In the interest of time, we may go over by a few minutes. We have a couple more topics to go through, but they are not as extensive. This is probably the last extensive one. And then there's a couple after that. So performing service at the temple. There's a verse from the Guru Astakam from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the third verse. It says, Shri Vigrahada Nana Nityanana Shingaratan Mandira Marjanado Yuktasya Bhaktam Charniyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So we see here that this is a major focus in executing devotional service. And even if one's not living in a temple, still attending a temple regularly is a great benediction for us. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in his fifth purpose for establishing ISKCON, he mentions to erect for the members and society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Godhead. There's an example given in the Srimad Bhagavatam of Maharaj Ambarish in the 9th canto, 4th chapter, of how we can fully connect ourselves. And the temple is a place where all these activities can be performed. It states, King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a matpara devotee of the Lord. Matpara means fully connected, having full relationship. This is an example here of a person that's fully engaged in devotional service. The Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that these temples are actually spiritual embassies. It's the home of Lord Krishna. Krishna has descended and taken residence within this land in the same way an embassy is within another country, but yet it is still the property, and all the rules and qualities of the original land are practiced within that embassy. The same thing is there within the temple. The temples are places of the spiritual of the spiritual world. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he says that these are not. He didn't necessarily mention temples. He said places of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're going to move through this a little quickly in the interest of time. Keys to connecting with the local temple. This is part of our sadhana. To perform regulated devotional service at the temple. It is important for devotees to establish a connection with the deities, and therefore to make it part of one's schedule, one's routine, to be engaged in devotional service, either through the guidance of the spiritual master, through the guidance of the temple authorities, or a senior devotee at the temple. This should become part of a regular life of a devotee. When we come to the temple, we come with a service attitude. Sometimes that may not be understood. Sometimes we come to Krishna with the mood of asking. We should understand philosophically that everything that we need will be fulfilled if our relationship with Krishna is fulfilled. In the same way, watering the root of a tree automatically supplies nourishment to the rest of the tree. We chant Hare Krishna, and we ask Krishna to engage us Krishna, please engage me in your service. Krishna is where, the temple is where Krishna has personally manifested himself and made himself available to render physical service with our body and minds. When we come to the temple, we should come with something. Bring an offering to the Lord. We may come to render some service. We may come and bring fruit. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water. Some people might come and offer Lakshmi, to be used in Krishna's service. These are all nice offerings, but when we come, we should come to render some service to the Lord. See the temple as a holy dham. It is not an ordinary place. Don't just see it as a place of brick and mortar. Spiritual embassies, as Srila Prabhupada had mentioned. We may have always had that experience where we come into the temple and we don't want to leave. That was my experience initially with the Sunday feast. I remember I would only really come on a Sunday. I just couldn't wait. From the moment I left, I was just counting the days until the time to return came again. It's a different energy. The spiritual energy is there. And therefore we should have gratitude. The temple is a place for shelter, where Krishna provides shelter, the devotees provide shelter. So I saw a couple questions pop in on the chat. Let me check real quick before we move on. So Vishnu Gadal Prabhu has made the comment that is a famous quote from Dr. John F. Kennedy. He says, "Ask not what Krishna can do for you, but what you can do for Krishna." So this is the mentality that we should come with. This is Krishna's home. We should come as servants of Krishna, coming to please Krishna.
Drona Prabhu,
Yes.
when I first came to the temple, we were trained to ask. As soon as we came in the temple, we said, "Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I have some devotional service?" We'd come to the temple and ask to be engaged in Krishna service.
Very nice, very nice. So just a point of reiteration, making that a regular part of one's life becomes very healthy in the developing a relationship with the deities, who Krishna is not different from. Holy days and Ekadasi. Today's Ekadasi. So perfect. One has to perform devotional service in full tapasya, austerity. One should fast on the 2 days, Ekadasi days, which fall on the 11th day of the waxing and waning moon, and on the birthdays of Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many such fasting days. Purport from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:27-22. The basic principle is not just to fast, but to increase one's faith and love for Govinda or Krishna. The real reason for observing fasting on Ekadasi is to minimize the demands of the body and to engage our time in the service of the Lord by chanting and performing similar service. The best thing to do on fasting days is to remember the pastimes of Govinda and to hear his holy name constantly. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 7. And when we push aside our routine activities, oftentimes, for people that are engaged in, working, other type of societal obligations, family obligations, And we're able to put a pause to that to some degree, as much as we possibly can, and engage a little bit more time in Krishna. It brings a rise, brings birth to deeper realization of Krishna consciousness. It brings us closer to Krishna. We make a sacrifice for Krishna, and that is the reciprocation. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that holy days like Ekadasi and Janmashtami are the mother of devotion. They bring birth to devotion for the devotees who respect them. These are hotspots, or these are days of great benediction and mercy if the devotees take advantage. It's like the sale at the store. Every once in a while, they just have, 25% off sale. Let's take advantage of these opportunities to deepen our relationship. Keys to unlocking the mercy of holidays. So for Ekadasi, we should fast at least from beans and grains. If we can't do a full fast, at least from beans and grains. It's not that difficult. We just have to want to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. We should observe the scheduled fast days. Unless there's some medical restriction that you have to do them, do the austerity, and you'll feel the reciprocation. When possible, take off of work. Render service to Krishna. Come and serve at the temple. This is specific in regards to days like Janmashtami and Gaur Purnima, Ram Navami. We have, if you have children, oftentimes you take off of, or your spouse, sometimes you take off of work to spend special time with them on that day because it's an important day. The same can be applied to Krishna. We get 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks and personal days. Imagine what Krishna must think if they're saying, okay, he's using one of those days for me to fully worship me and remember me and serve me. From Krishna's point of view, imagine how he must think. So these are opportunities that we can take in unlocking the mercy of the holy days. Oftentimes we have worldly engagements, appointments that are made, things that can be otherwise rearranged. But if we schedule these activities around these days and not on these holy days, it allows us to have more opportunity to engage in service. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the purpose of these is to increase our sadhana, more reading and more chanting. And these are also great days to just kind of pause and reflect on the process that we're doing. Sometimes in life we're in the race, and we don't have time from the moment we wake up to the moment we hit the bed at night. We don't have time to kind of pause and reflect on our relationship with Krishna. These days are stopping points where we can actually take advantage of reflecting on our relationship. Let me check the chat box once again. Oops. Vishnu Gada Prabhu mentions, great, how about Rath Yatra? Yes, Rath Yatra is a day of worship of Lord Jagannath, where Lord Jagannath comes out of the temple and gives his darshan to the public. So there's plenty of, it's days and days before where we see devotees take off of work, make tremendous sacrifice in order to come and host this festival for the Lord. So great point, Vishnu Gada Prabhu. Would you like to make any further comment, Vishnu Gada Prabhu, on Rath Yatra?
I thought you did a good job. Not to belabor the point, but I just wanted to make sure that was added there. That's all. Kind of a plug. That's it.
Right. So the Rath Yatra is kind of an art. These other days are set on the calendar. So like Ekadasi, the 11th day of the waxing and waning of the moon, every 2 times a month, approximately. This will happen the days of the appearance and disappearance days of acharyas and of the Supreme Lord, the appearance days of the Supreme Lord. Rath Yatra is not always on that type of schedule. For us here in Philadelphia, it's the 4th Saturday of September, and throughout different other parts of the world, it's different days. Vaishnav Tilak. This is to go over the importance of applying tilak to our bodies. Applying tilak from the Nectar of Devotion. This is from chapter 6. One should decorate the body with tilak. If anybody's unaware, these are the clay lines that devotees wear on their forehead, and there's different types of tilak. Specifically here, we're talking about Vaishnav tilak. One should decorate the body with tilak, which is the sign of the Vaishnavas. The idea is that as soon as a person sees these marks on the body of the Vaishnava, he will immediately remember Krishna. Lord Chaitanya said that a Vaishnava is he, when seen, reminds one of Krishna. Therefore, it is essential that a Vaishnava mark his body with tilak to remind others of Krishna. So it is an important practice that when we bathe in the morning, we wake up, we bathe in the morning, that we decorate our body with tilak. We're marking the body as a temple of the Lord. Just as the deity, the Supreme Lord, resides within the building of a temple, the Supreme Lord also resides within each and every living entity, within the body of each and every living entity. The devotee understands this and is very careful to remind himself or herself that the body is to be used in Krishna service. So by decorating the body with the tilak, you're marking the body with the sacred lines of the Supreme Lord. It's the 2 lines, they represent Krishna's 2 lotus feet, and then the tulsi leaf that is placed at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna right in the middle. And while applying the tilak, these are the mantras that are to be chanted. These mantras are the names of the Supreme Lord, which are holy and purify the body. On the forehead, you say Om Keshavaya Namaha, and there's a diagram here you can follow along. On the belly, you say Om Narayanaya Namaha. On the chest, number 3, Om Haravaya Namaha. On the throat, Om Govindaya Namaha. On the right side of the waist, Om Vishnave Namaha. On the right upper arm, Om Madhusudanaya Namaha. On the right shoulder, Om Trivikramaya Namaha. On the left side of the waist, Om Vamanaya Namaha. On the left upper arm, Om Shridaraya Namaha. On the left shoulder, Om Rishikeshaya Namaha. On the upper back, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha. And the lower back, Om Damodaraya Namaha. And if you have any tilak left, you can put it on the top of your head. Vasudevaya Namaha. So this purifies the body. And when we do this every day, when we first wake up, and we sit down and we chant our japa and we read, it's a cleansing feeling that the body undergoes, and is a physical symbolic reminder that we are to use our bodies in Krishna service, and that the body is a temple of the Lord. Now, sometimes a question may come up: what do you do if you have to go to work and you have to interact with people? Do you keep your tilak on your forehead? That may be uncomfortable for some. So I think it depends on your individual circumstance. If you can do it, there's only benefit to it. As the purport said before, the devotee is one who reminds others about Krishna. So wearing tilak would certainly be a symbolic reminder of others about Krishna. But if you're unable to, you shouldn't stop performing. It shouldn't prevent you from putting on tilak every day. Don't use it as an excuse. Well, I can't wear it to work, so I'm not going to put it on. So you may need to remove it at a certain point. You can also apply tilak using water in times like that, where you still chant the mantras and perform the tilak as well to purify the body. Okay, this is the last one. Haryasha Prabhu, do you want to, these are some quotes of Srila Prabhupada that we can end with?
First, I want to put Prabhupada's picture back. So we started off, thank you so much, Dronacharya Prabhu. We started off with our hero, Srila Prabhupada, and we're about to close with a letter from Srila Prabhupada. But I want you to look back and remember at that list we showed you, all these different aspects of the process of bhakti. They are all a part of what it takes to develop ourselves into nice sadhana bhaktas. And as you know from the beginning, sadhana will naturally lead to a much more spontaneous type of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. But it is about adhering to the process and surrendering ourselves to the process. The more we surrender to the process opens up. The magic of the process is the blessing of the spiritual master, the grace of Krishna. These are the unseens that is not possible to calculate. This removes all obstacles, and this establishes us as devotees of the Supreme Lord, as servants of the servant of the servant. So it's a nice process when you can look back on the process, but it all starts from the grace of the spiritual master. And we're back with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, I'd like to read a couple quotes from him. He says, "You know that as my initiated disciple, you must chant regularly 16 rounds on beads daily and follow the 4 restrictions, namely no eating of meats, fish, or eggs, no illicit sex life, no taking of any kinds of intoxicants, and no gambling or mental speculation. If you stick to these principles and chant the holy name, avoiding the 10 offenses in the matter of chanting, you will become steady and rapidly advance in Krishna consciousness." Letter, 21st of February, 1970, Los Angeles. And in conclusion, Srila Prabhupada says, so this initiation means the preliminary chants for preparing oneself to advance or to achieve, can't say it big enough, to achieve the highest perfection. I am very glad that you are already interested in the Krishna consciousness movement, and you will please chant at least 16 rounds daily, observing the rules and regulations. The 4 principal rules is that you will refrain from 1, meat eating or partaking of fish or eggs, illicit sexual connections, intoxication, including cigarettes, coffee, and tea, and 4, gambling. In association, in addition to these rules, there are 10 offenses to chanting the Maha Mantra, which should be avoided. These rules are as follows: blaspheming the devotees, considering the lords and the demigods on the same level, neglecting the orders of the spiritual master, minimizing the authority of the scriptures, interpreting the holy name of God, committing sin on the strength of chanting, instructing the glories of the Lord's name to the unfaithful, comparing the holy name with material piety and attention while chanting the holy name, attachment to material things while engaged in the practice of chanting. So follow faithfully the above rules and regulations. Help your God brothers and sisters in London to propagate Krishna consciousness, and there is no question that you will all come out successful. I hope this will find you well. Letter to disciples in London, July 1969. So it's so nice. I don't know what kind of time we have left for questions. Drona, if you can put it down so I can see the devotees. It's late, but I want to see the devotees. It's also ways, to me, it's so enthusing. If we can see you, if there's some question, some comment, you can make it at this time. And if you're good enough that you can show yourself, show yourself. All right, Krishna.
So there's one question I want to get to real quick before people open up. This came during associating with devotees point. With regard to association, should we be concerned about associating with family members who aren't devotees? Question mark.
I don't think so. I think in everything we do, we have to use our intelligence. Your family members are those that's part of our karma. And I would want to be careful that we keep a decent relationship. Association means how intimately do we associate. I loved going to see my mother, when she was alive. But certain brothers that were too heavy, I didn't go see him. But we don't want to create bad relationships with our family members. The main thing is to be Krishna conscious. If we're Krishna conscious, the details will be dealt with. We'll understand what to do. Krishna says he's the intelligence of the intelligent man. So that discriminatory power and woman, that discriminatory power will become clearer. These are specifics. So you have to deal with them according to the situation and the personalities you're dealing with. That's the best I can offer. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Renuka, I have your hand up here, but I don't know if that was from before, earlier.
It was from before, but I had a question posted to you. Did you get my question?
There was some in the chat. Can you repeat it out loud?
Yeah, so you were saying Haryaswadasa Prabhu, like no meat eating, but we drink cow's milk. So is cow's milk being used for human consumption? It's also a sin. It's partly a sin, right? It should be used for the calves, not for humans.
Is she saying about
is drinking milk breaking one of the regulative principles? Is it considered sinful because you're harming the
I
cow?
want you to think about that, mother. Think about that question. Milk is brain food. Of course, it's not breaking the regulative principles. Things that are fatty, sweet, milk products are liked by those in the mode of goodness. Or to speak of the fact that about 3:30 in the morning, I don't know what time he gets it down, Krishna gets all type of milk products early in the morning. He's a protector of the cows,
But technically, the milk should be used only for the calves, right? By
Says
nature.
who? Says who? Which scripture did you read that from?
I didn't read anything, Haryaswadasa Prabhu.
No.
Like, I'm just saying, like, that product should be used. So the mother's milk should be used only for its kids. So
No.
what I'm saying is, cow's milk should be used only for the calves.
No.
If
That's
human beings use,
That's what people are saying. Modern day, a lot of people are vegans and they want nothing to do with animal products. But milk is so essential. We can stay alive on and taking milk. The point is this: is that when you look for what is to be taken and what is not to be taken, there are a lot of things that are about your health or that you can find out from other people. But when you consult the scriptures, if you don't take the cow's milk, there's several things that why I am not a vegan. Many devotees are. I'm not a vegan. Most of my diet is vegan, but I can't wait to get some good cow's milk. If I don't take that cow's milk, then that cow that is being protected, she's very valuable. So if you don't take her milk, then they're going to take her skin. They're going to kill her. They're going to kill her because I thought that this should only be taken by animals and not by me. They're going to make things from her body. So the cow, if we show others the value of her milk, although we see it in one way, there's so many things that they're doing to cows which are bad, the way they're attaching them to machines, and all these points are true. But the consumption of milk is necessary, for proper finer development, the finer tissues in the brain. And by taking the milk, we protect her. We protect her from being slaughtered because they want her skin or they want her flesh. I only take these things from the scriptures as far as what's politically correct or what's being said today. No. Krishna's pastime is with the cows and the calves, and he protects them, and the brahmanas and the mothers. Okay.
Hare
Next
Krishna.
point.
Vishnu Prabhu, you had your hand up. I don't know if it was in regards to this point or a different point.
Yeah, I just wanted to to piggyback on what Haryashra Prabhu said, that there is that kind of thought that you're taking the milk away from the calves. And when Dhruva was here, who runs the Gita Nagari dairy, he was asked that question, and he said, which I also understood, is that the cows there in Gita Nagari, how much milk do they give a day? You have any idea? 10 gallons a day. 10 gallons a day. And then if you look at how much a calf will drink in a day, you know how much a calf drinks in a day?
No.
Maybe 2 gallons. 2 gallons. So I asked him how much. I looked online and I saw, what some dairies give to the calves. And as Mother Renuka said, some of them won't give any milk to the calves. They just give them some kind of formula. Others will give them a half gallon, a gallon, 2 gallons, like that. So I asked Dhruva, how much milk does the Gita Nagari cow protection farm give to the calves every day? So he said, they take as much as they want. And I said, how much is that? He said, it's usually about 2 gallons, a little more than 2 gallons. So that leaves 8 gallons. I guess you could throw away that 8 gallons, throw it away if you want, but it could be saved and used to offer to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. As you said, Krishna was Govinda Gopal for a particular reason. He thought that he was showing the importance of cow protection. So it's true that many dairies, they exploit the cows and the calves. That's why Srila Prabhupada wanted to institute cow protection as part of the system of the Hare Krishna movement. And so, I was reading about ahimsa dairies, and there's very few in the United States, very few, just a few. And I was reading one, somebody was writing about it, said, the really only place you can get ahimsa milk is from those crazy Hare Krishnas. That's the only. So yeah, that's true. So some devotees, they make the vow that they're only going to have ahimsa milk, because of that reason, which is certainly a reasonable approach, because it does happen that the calves in other situations are exploited, and cows are exploited. But it's not that if you drink that cow, the ahimsa milk, that you're taking it away from the calf. No, that's not true.
My biggest fear is that if that caught on of not taking the milk, that so many cows will be killed, because if they don't, I mean, this is a toxic environment that we're in. The atmosphere is so bad. They don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So all they can see is the value of the cow's flesh. Right now, they're still attached to the fact that they can make something from her milk. But can you imagine throwing away her milk and letting them slaughter the cows? It's insane. It's our job. And in the 80s, Gita Nagri, we used to get the milk from the farm as for the restaurant in the 80s. And the cows would get blue ribbons. And they said, why do your cows keep winning? Why do they give so much milk and keep winning on the ribbons? And I forget which one was in charge then. He says, because our cows know that they won't be killed. Our cows are happy, so they just give so much milk. So that is the environment that we want to create. We want to protect them and keep them happy. Any other?
Real quick, I'm happy to say that ISKCON of Philadelphia, the milk that we use to offer to the Lord, and we also make that available to the deity. So all the feasts that are served out, all the prasadam that is there, it uses all ahimsa milk, Gita Nagari, where the cows are not, killed at the end of their life. And ISKCON, in general, as a worldwide society, has made it a goal for the society to actually be ahimsa milk supportive or using it. I think by 2022 or 2023, where every temple will be utilizing ahimsa milk. So it is important, Renuka. It is important to us, the protection of the cows. Sita Devidasi, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, I'm going back to the first question, where the question was asked about a family member. How important, if a family member is not Krishna conscious, and they kind of use that as an excuse to not associating with you, because they think that's too much. What should be our role? When you think about it, it still does bother you, but as you said, you want to have a decent relationship, Prabhu, and I agree with that. But how do you come about that when the decent relationship will only come if I'm on better terms? And they'll say, okay, well, if you don't go overboard with Krishna consciousness, we'll be good. We'll be on good terms. But otherwise, no. So how do I maintain a good, a decent relationship with family members who demand that?
That may not be a family member that you can have a relationship with. It's not that you are deciding that, oh, I no longer want to have anything to do with you because you're not a Hare Krishna. They're deciding that they don't want to have anything to do with you so much because you are Hare Krishna. So when any acts of kindness can be interjected and you can send prasadam or anything nice you can do, it's fine. But other than that, you have to check your feelings. You may have certain attachments to them, and this is natural, but ultimately, you know the outcome. The outcome is not so auspicious for you if they don't appreciate you being a Hare Krishna devotee, and the only way that they're going to associate is that you have to pretty much listen to a bunch of job, oh, you know, the specifics, then be grateful to Krishna that they decided not to associate with you, and you accept their will and try to find fulfillment, try to find that peace and that happiness which you may feel as though is lacking. Try to apply the process of sadhana bhakti. Try to hear more, try to chant better rounds. There is such an amazing relationship waiting to be had for all of us within the association of these devotees here. It's just the process of Krishna consciousness is so full and tasty that if you can sit down and read with an unagitated mind, you can experience such pleasure. Just hear that. When I have to stop reading sometimes, I think I'm going to miss the next aspect of what they did, what the devotees with Lord Chaitanya did, or the Bhagavatam. You just become so rapt. And that is absorption. And you know, I can get absorbed in a football game, but you're becoming absorbed. You're hearing. Better we prepare, you know, for who we're trying to become, that we chant better rounds, we bake something for Krishna, we talk to some devotees. This process has these different limbs, and we get involved in one or another, and we'll find that satisfaction. We won't be lonely or empty. We'll find a certain satisfaction. Why? Because we're connecting with the reservoir of real pleasure. We're connecting with Krishna. It may sound a little funny, and it may last a long while because of our attachments. My Guru Maharaj, I remember his parents said, "You're still with those people? We'll have nothing to do with you." He was out. They cut him out. Maybe 30 years later, he called to check in on his mother. Something. He said, "Are you still with them?" Father had died. We said we still have nothing to do with you. Imagine. So you have to put those feelings in check and accept the family you're being given. You have a family that loves you right here. We're a loving family. Give us a little time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any last questions? I'm looking at the time now. Thank you all for staying with us, moving over time. I hope that it was informative and interesting and relishable for the devotees. Haryasha Prabhu, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation.
You know, I'm just so happy to see the devotees, you know. I was so thrown off because I really wanted to have a good time with you. I just wanted to chant and, you know, do my Jeev Jago and stuff like that. But anyways, thank you so very much. I'm praying that the contributions that the classes can help in some way, and that they can be implemented in your lives, and that you become stronger, richer servants of Srila Prabhupada and this Krishna consciousness movement. I'm just wishing the best for everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll rejoin again next week at the same time, 6:30. We'll talk about relationships with devotees, a presentation given by Her Grace Mother Sudevi. Hare Krishna. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving, and see you back here. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you in the morning time. 7:50 every morning we have Srimad Bhagavatam class. If you would like to join us for those classes, they're available on the same Zoom channel. So offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Very
Glories
much.
to the
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Thank you.
I don't know. I can't cut it off. Oh, mother.